Hey everyone, this is Carmine Sabia for Explain America, and we've got a big story about the Supreme Court and former President Donald Trump coming right at you. But before we get started, please make sure you like, you comment, you share, and if you're on YouTube or Rumble, please subscribe. It really helps a small channel like ours grow, and it really kind of combats this mainstream media and social media clampdown they have on conservatives, particularly as the midterm elections approach. So we really appreciate that and thank you. So, as you probably heard by now, former President Donald Trump has petitioned the Supreme Court to step in and kind of give back the special master's jurisdiction over the 100 or so classified documents that the 11th Circuit Court of Appeals said the Justice Department can have access to. Now, originally, Judge Eileen Cannon said that the special master was to review all the documents, including this 100 disputed documents. So the Justice Department appealed back to Ms. Cannon and said, listen, we want access to just these 100 documents that were marked classified. So Judge Cannon reviewed the evidence, reviewed the petition, decided no, the special master has to look at these too. So the Justice Department, not to be undone, and as is common, went to the 11th Circuit Court of Appeals based in Atlanta. The 11th Circuit Court of Appeals ruled that the Justice Department could have access to those 100 or so documents that were marked classified or had filings or markings that deemed them to be classified. So Trump's team of attorneys said, okay, well, now we're going to the Supreme Court. So they went to the Supreme Court and they got really bad news. And the really bad news is that the Supreme Court justice that oversees the 11th Circuit Court of Appeals is Justice Clarence Thomas. Now, Justice Clarence Thomas is a staunch conservative, as you know. And he might have a little chip on his shoulder these days, considering his wife, Ginny Thomas, was just dragged in front of the highly partisan January 6th committee, which is led by Democrats, full of Democrats, and, oh yeah, two Republican people who just happen to be super anti-Trump. Fair fight, right? Anyway, Ginny Thomas had to go through all that, and now Biden's Justice Department has to deal with Justice Clarence Thomas. So Justice Thomas, looking at all the documents that Trump presented, said, okay, Justice Department has until Tuesday at 5 p.m. to respond to this request. Now, a couple of things could happen. He could put in an emergency order restoring those documents to the special master and halting the investigation of the Justice Department into those particular documents. That's one scenario. The other scenario, and I believe the more likely scenario, especially when it's a high-profile individual like a former president of the United States, is that Justice Thomas is likely to refer the case to the entire Supreme Court. However, the third scenario, which I think is even more likely, is that Justice Thomas will put a stay on those documents and then refer it to the Supreme Court. Because, look, at a certain point, the damage is done. I mean, the damage may already be done, but as it is, it has to be stopped if you're on Trump's team, right? And if you're on the Justice Department team, you're like, no, we got to keep these documents. So both teams have a position here. And it's going to be really interesting to see if it goes before the entire Supreme Court, which I believe and predict it will. You got three justices that were appointed by former President Trump. You got three more conservatives, although Roberts is Chief Justice Roberts is a swing vote nowadays. And you got the new liberal justice and the other two liberal justices. So it's going to be really interesting. All eyes will be on that, and that will be something to watch. Hey, folks, I hope you enjoyed today's video. I hope you were informed by it. I hope I did a good job of explaining to you exactly what's happening with the Trump case right now. If I did, please hit the like button, hit the share button, leave a comment. Let me know if it's any more clear to you now than it was 20 minutes ago. And, of course, if you're on YouTube or Rumble, please subscribe. It really helps us. We love each and every one of you. God bless you. Take care, everybody.